Hello and welcome to Today in Brevard Sports. I'm Lee Nessel.
I'm Brian McCallum.
Today we delve into the world of martial arts and introduce you to some heavy hitters. Steve Ellis of Palm Bay will demonstrate what it takes to break 14 concrete bricks with his elbow. He is preparing for a major competition, the U.S. Open, July 4th weekend. We also visit the Works Gym in Cocoa to talk to local fighters getting ready for the second installment of Fight Night. The grappling and kickboxing event is this evening.
Football's in the air literally as the high school summer passing league continues. We'll have an update 2 weeks into the season, and the lookout continues, but summer surf is still hard to find. We'll find out if anything has changed in the weekly surf report.
And Florida Today columnist Peter Kerasotis will join us for his commentary on the hottest topics in sports. There are many different disciplines of martial arts. Some that we don't hear about as often involve breaking things. See if you are as in awe of Steve Ellis as I am. This 51-year-old father from Palm Bay has trained many years to get to this point.
When I'm staring down the brick, I'm focusing on that, and I'm harnessing all my energy in my mind to come up. And when I come down, I want it all to be right here on my arm. And it just takes focus and power and concentration. And when I feel like I'm there and I could feel like all of my chi is up on my arm, I'll bring it down and the brick disintegrate. And if it's not, half of them do. And it's just a little process we're trying to get to where I can focus and bring it all out at one time. We set up 8 about 4 months ago, and I hit 8, and it broke real easy. And I set up for 10, I hit 10, and I hit 12 throughout. Maybe we hit maybe 4 times a month, and we've worked our way up to 14, and that's the highest I've got. I tried 16 one time, I missed because we had it stacked wrong, and my coach wasn't here, and we set it up before he got here. And stacked it wrong. But my main goal is to try to hit 17 or 18.
This is about 1 out of 100 or so breaks. This is what we call the Makawara training post. This is what Steve trains on for his breaking competitions. And this post is, the idea of the Makawara is probably a couple hundred years old. The early masters and back in the early days of karate, they didn't have heavy bags and the training equipment that we have now. So they came up with this, what they call a punching post. A Makawara, the definition of the Makawara is a punching post. And what it does is it conditions the hands, the elbows, the feet, whatever you want to hit with this, it conditions that part of the body. And not necessarily to get your knuckles grotesquely big or anything like that, but just to get you used to focusing on a small area for one thing, hitting that area and pushing through it. The Makawara post gives. So when you hit it, it pushes back towards you. And when you break something, a board or concrete, you want to hit that particular thing and push through it, all the way through. And that's what this particular training method does for you, is it actually, when you hit it, it helps you to develop that power of pushing through and focus. Steve hits this about probably 200 to 300 times a day, and that's how he conditions his elbow for the breaking that he does.
And you go, when you get to 50, you'll stop, come around, hit 50 this way. Finally, after all the years of doing martial arts, I have finally found out how to harness my chi. I've never been able to do it. In tournament fighting or in any kind of point fighting in here or continuous fighting, I know how to absorb and take a shot, like a good kick to the head or a good kick to the stomach and not lose but I've never been able to feel like I know right where it is. When I key up, my whole body gets tight, but when I do this, it's right there. It's not in my whole body. And I finally have, and I like knowing that I'm a good enough martial artist to where I can locate my chi in any part of my body. It happens. And I finally found out. That's why I like hitting this. And that, not very many people can do it.
Well, my first thought, ouch.
Yes.
I don't know
Exactly.
about you, but Steve said that when you hit the bricks just right, you don't feel a thing, that your energy is just dispersed through your elbow, through the bricks. There's a clean break, and you feel nothing but joy that you made the break. But he said if you miss, you might break half the stack or some of the stack. That's when the energy comes back up at you, and that's when it hurts. So, are you ready to try it?
First of all, my dentist tells me you won't feel a thing, and I don't believe that either from personal experience. So no, I'll pass.
Okay. Well, me too. I mean, I don't know how these guys do it, but he's really phenomenal. Now, adding to the M to MMA, we move to mixed martial arts. It continues to take hold both on a national level, and interest is just as high here in Brevard County. The second fight night is this evening at County Line Saloon on 192 in West Melbourne. It will feature local amateur kickboxers and have a grappling exhibition challenge. Florida Today's Shane Donovan recently visited 2 of the fighters on tonight's card and brought us this report.
Hi, I'm here with Sean Marshall, and Sean Marshall is one of the fighters coming up on the next fight night event at County Line on June 26th. Sean, how do you feel about this fight night coming up?
I feel pretty good.
Yeah.
Last event went pretty good.
Yeah.
More fights this time.
Yeah. I understand you have a few pounds to cut. How's that coming along?
Coming along pretty good. I'm just hungry. Every day.
Good answer.
Bang, as you throw that hook. Bang, I bring you right there.
Hi, I'm here with Anthony Chamberlain, and Anthony's going to be competing in the next fight night event. Anthony, how do you feel about the event coming up?
Oh, I can't wait, man.
Yeah, you excited?
Oh yeah, I mean, the first one was, little nervous, but
Yeah.
it gets easier and easier, but I can't wait. Hopefully
Okay.
I knock him out.
Yeah. Working out here at the Works, what do you think your number one improvement in your game has been?
Oh, to be honest, I can't even give you one. I mean, I've never done any kind of mixed martial arts in my life. When I first came here with, Phil, David, Mitch here, James, these guys taught me so much. I mean, my whole game's just gotten so much better.
You've been training for, I think, 3.5 years, you told me now.
Something like that.
What are your plans for the future in this sport?
Wanted to go pro, but this fight came up like last second, so I figured I'd take it. It was like 2 weeks notice.
Yeah.
So like, all right, I'll do it. Since I'm not pro yet, I can do an amateur fight.
Yeah.
It's about time they got something going in Brevard County. Definitely needed something.
Yeah.
Need to start somewhere.
Do you think the scene has been growing in Brevard County?
Yeah, slowly.
Slowly but surely. I know the governor is supposed to sign a bill to make MMA legal, but until that time you have to compete in Muay Thai, San Shao, any sort of kickboxing event. And that's probably holding you back a little bit, but until then, you get the experience.
Yeah, it's some kind of experience. Yeah, everything you have to do separately, the grappling you have to do by itself.
Yeah.
But
So
it's better than nothing.
Yeah, it can get a little tedious probably.
Yeah, a little bit.
Now, we welcome Shane to the studio. Shane, you're a big fight fan. You follow the national MMA fights. And these fights here in Brevard are not pro, they're amateur fights. But what was your first impression from that first fight night?
Well, from the first event, it was put on pretty well. There was the community seemed very excited. There was over 500 people, I think, and each camp did very well, getting their fighter ready and getting the fans their money's worth.
So,
It's kind of a legal issue is what I wanted to talk about. They're fighting in a ring because they can't fight in a cage in Florida. It's just been a while, that maybe about a year, that amateurs have been able to fight in Florida. Is there anything going to come of getting this thing in a cage? You actually think there might be some benefit to that?
Well, yeah, I think, the image of two men walking into a cage may seem extreme for the uninformed viewer, but it actually incorporates a lot of wrestling and clinch work as opposed to the ring where you use the ropes for striking and stuff like that. So,
So are you saying it'd be safer? Or?
I'm saying it'd be safer, and I believe it's only a matter of time until it happens.
Okay.
Now, do you think the crowd would enjoy that more? Do you think that increases the lure of the event, of an MMA event having an actual cage?
I would think they would enjoy the clinch striking, not as much the wrestling, but the striking involved.
That's what they're used to seeing on TV anyway, the national broadcast.
Yeah.
Speaking of national TV, the broadcast, pretty good quality. I watch it too. People are, I don't know what the ticket prices were here, but what's the level here? I mean, obviously it's amateur. These are not guys who are, ready to fight Uriah Faber or anything, but what's the quality of this event?
The fighting level is actually pretty good. Some of these guys are just starting out. Some have been involved for multiple years. At sometimes it seems more like brawling than technical striking, but it's a launching pad for these guys to make it to the pro level.
Okay.
Well, thank you, Shane. It's good to see the diversity of sports entertainment here in Brevard County. That's probably something a lot of locals like to watch. Probably watch the pay-per-view, and now they can actually go out and watch it locally. And Shane will be there tonight at the fight night, so look for his report in Sunday's Florida Today. We'll have that in print and online as well.
As my colleague Mike Cherry wrote last summer, football never sleeps, and nothing has changed in 2009. The annual Summer Passing League is 2 weeks into its schedule. It looks like the teams who played the best in 2008 are having the best summers, for the most part. Cocoa, which was the 3A state champion in December, went 4-1 in Week 2 competition at Cocoa Beach, while Merritt Island, another district champion, went 3-2. Let's take a look at some recent action and hear from those involved.
All right, we go! Start it up! It's another opportunity to get your kids together, throw and catch. It's kind of the rage going on in the country over the last few years that 7-on-7 leagues are popping up everywhere. And just throwing and catching is essential in the game of football, and so we just want to get our kids together.
We're just out here brushing up on some skills, we got a big season coming up. We're looking for a championship this year. We got a pretty good squad, We just got to get our boys out here and have a good summer, lead into the fall.
Well, it's good. If you sit down all summer and just don't get any work, then when season rolls around, you won't be good at all. So it's good that we all get out here and compete and just work out the rust and stuff like that.
Well, those of you who read the paper and watch this show know that I can empathize with how hot it is out there on the football field for summer training. I had a blast training with the Minutemen for a week, but was happy to bow out when it came to test true passing and catching skills. I do not have those skills. So, what could we possibly refer to as the doldrums of summer? Surf, or lack of it. Here's Bob Freeman with the Surf Report.
Okay, thank you. I don't see a whole lot of surf headed our way this weekend. Today there is a little bit of swell in the water. Longboarders are catching some rides at the lower tide very early in the morning, but here's what I see for the weekend. I see a lot of offshore winds keeping any swell just out of our range on most of our beaches. I guess that surf will probably be in the knee to thigh-high range. Could be opportunities for longboarding in the early mornings, as that's when we have our lowest tide. I would say head for the Cocoa Beach area where the bottoms are flatter, better chance of getting some waves to slide out on a longboard. Sunday could be even a little smaller. Again, I don't see much of a swell source in the water. We'll have offshore winds again out of the west and southwest, which will of course create very clean and glassy conditions, but I don't expect surf on Sunday to be much more than knee high. But that's the way I see it. And not a whole lot happening right now. We are in the summer doldrums. We need a little swell out there to push into our beaches to give us something a little bigger to surf on. Longboarders, if you got the time, head out early, get what you can. That's all we're going to have for this weekend. And this is Bob Freeman for Florida Today.
Florida Today columnist Peter Kerasotis joins us today. Welcome, Peter. Good to see you again. A lot of things going on, some things you have in your mind. First of all, if you wanted to talk about the U.S. Open, I can remember, and I thought it was 5 years ago, you say 10.
10 years ago.
That's a sign of aging, that there was a day when there was going to be two guys battling it out for the next 20 years in golf. Tiger Woods is there, like he's expected to be,
right.
But the other guy we hadn't seen in a while.
And that guy is David Duval. And David Duval, as we know, was one of the storylines in the U.S. Open that finished on Monday. So many great storylines. Even Lucas Glover, who wound up winning, was a really neat storyline as well, with his cousins driving up and not telling him and showing up in the gallery and buying tickets on eBay. But the one that I was kind of fascinated with was David Duval, Jacksonville native. This guy 10 years ago owned golf. I used to like to say he owned the county he was living in up in Jacksonville, Duval County. But he owned golf. He was the #1 player in the world. It was 10 years ago in April, where at the Bob Hope Chrysler Classic, he shot a 59. It was just mind-boggling how good this guy was. And of course, we all knew how good Tiger was, so we were all expecting that they would go back and forth with that #1 ranking. We were expecting that it would be a rivalry for their generation that would be like Nicholas Palmer. It'd be like Ollie Frazier. It would be like McEnroe, Borg, Everett, Martina Navratilova, all of those types of things. And then he just fell off the face of the earth and lost his golf game, lost his way in many different ways. Had some injuries, but it was just really just couldn't get it done. But so it was good not only to see him back, but he's married now. He married a woman with 3 kids that he's raising, and now they've got a kid together, and he's happy. You know, and David Duval back in the day, he wasn't a happy guy. You hid behind those Oakley sunglasses, and you know, there was a story about when he was a little kid that he was given bone marrow to his older brother and tried to save his older brother's life, and then the bone marrow is what killed his older brother, and you know, he lived with that for all his years. So it's just good to see David Duval back, and I like some of his quotes when I was watching him post-tournament about being happy and the confidence. He's always had confidence, and it was always kind of a cockiness. But, you know, afterward he says, it's what I want. It might be arrogance, but it's where I feel like I belong, you know, here competing for majors. And he said, he's certainly happy, but he's disappointed, and that he fully expected to win the golf tournament, which is kind of the David Duval of old. And then he did admit, he goes, I might have taken it granted for years ago. And you know, I just had so much fun out there, you know, competing for a tournament, which is not the way it used to be. So welcome back, David Duval, and we hope you stay for a while.
Now, a column of yours recently that's generated a lot of interest, which anytime there's controversy or something in the legal system, that's going to happen. You've gotten a lot of feedback on your comparing penalties for a couple athletes. What have you heard, and what are you thinking about that?
Well, the column that I wrote was the one comparing Dante Stallworth's sentence of 30 months, 30 days, 1 month in jail for killing a pedestrian while DUI, to Michael Vick, who got 23 months sentence in federal prison for killing dogs. Both are bad crimes, obviously, and killing a person is, you know, you take a human life. I don't see how it could get any more serious than that. But my issue with all of this is, and what I'm getting a lot of feedback, is I've always maintained, you know, and I had emails going back and forth when I wrote the column 2 years ago with the president of PETA, that you're out there picketing this guy before the trial even begins, and you're saying that he should be treated just like the dogs he killed. You are trying him, convicting him, and passing a sentence on him before anything happens. And now here we are 2 years down the road, and another football player kills a man while DUI. And where's the outrage from the animal lovers? Where's, you know, and like one woman emailed me, she says, you know, a child can be molested, raped, and murdered, and you don't see people picketing out there in front of the courthouse every time that defendant shows their face, but the PETA people were doing that. Now, I understand the argument that some people have advanced, that one was an accident and one was deliberate, and there is some merit in that in my column that I wrote yesterday. But as I also wrote, the difference is, you know, when you say it was an accident, it's not an accident getting drunk. It's not an accident getting behind the wheel of a car intoxicated. He was driving a Bentley. He paid the family off upwards of $5 million. You can't afford to call a cab? You can call a cab. If it was an accident, it was an accident waiting to happen.
Sad note there, but good to see David Duval back. Good luck to him. I hope he continues to have some more success.
Thank you.
Are you praying for the show to be over, or is there a Hong Kong Phooey reunion on the Cartoon Network?
No. I'm channeling my chi. I know it takes years, but Steve Ellis inspired me, so I thought I'd give it a try.
That's not your chi.
Well, that's all for this week's edition of Today in Brevard Sports. Thank you for joining us again.
We won't be here next week, but we'll be back July 10th. In the meantime, you can follow us in the print edition, Florida Today, or online at floridatoday.com.
Take care.
Chi out.